Yeah, I have
Oh,
no
here we
problem
go.
repeating it. I have no problem repeating it. Let me first give credit to the great Stephen A. Smith, who I agree with a lot of his points, and I've also disagreed with a lot of his points. But I love Stephen A. Smith because one thing about Stephen A. Smith is he's going to stand his ground. He's going to repeat what he had to say. He's not going to backtrack on it. Stephen A. Smith recently brought up a
Right.
very good point on the First Take show, in which he said that if Steph Curry was to somehow find a way to win the finals and win the finals MVP, it's time to include him in that GOAT conversation with the likes of Kevin Durant and LeBron James. Stephen A. Smith also said he never said that Steph Curry was better than LeBron James. I went ahead and agreed with him, and I shared my thoughts. And I'm like, well, that is true, Stephen A. Smith. When you think about Stephen Curry's career, when you think about it, man, it's very, very impressive. It's very impressive. If LeBron James would have had the
Mm-hmm.
career that Steph Curry would have in terms of his accolades, it wouldn't be a conversation. LeBron would be better than Jordan, in my opinion. It would be better. That's how impressive Steph Curry's accolades are without a Finals MVP. So I say to myself, well, and here's my problem. Here's my problem with the LeBron fan approach. They will say things like, well, look at what LeBron James had to play against in his era. He had to play against Kevin Durant. He had to play against Steph Curry, yada, 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 yada. Granted, those are great players. You're right. LeBron did have to play against a good league. This is a very good league, very competitive. Everybody has ambition. People want to knock each other off. I love it. It's very, very talented, unlike we've ever seen before in our life. That's not to say that the era in the 2000s and the eras in the 90s weren't competitive as well, because those eras also had other great players. People forget Michael Jordan played against the top 10 or the top 50 greatest athletes of his era in his era. Most of those players that Michael Jordan played against are in the top 50 of all-time great players. But we don't want to bring that up. But anyway, back to the point about the Steph Curry thing. They don't want to. They want to acknowledge what LeBron played against, but when you use what LeBron played against to compare it, they say, "Oh, well, you can't compare. None of those guys compared to LeBron. None of them. So why are you using it to compare to solidify LeBron's legacy? Why? It doesn't make sense. It's almost like you're washing your own argument. It doesn't make sense. So I agree with Stephen A. Smith. The point being, I agree with Stephen A. Smith. I feel if Steph Curry was able to pull off this finals this year and somehow find a way to get his shit together in the finals and bring his team home and bring home a finals MVP, we got to put him in that conversation. It's only fair, and it's only right to Steph Curry that we acknowledge him for what he's done in his time in his league. That's all we're saying. That's all I was saying.
G, did you want to rebuttal?
Not necessarily a rebuttal. I just this little skinny nothing of a kid, like as far as his physical fit, 6'2", 6'1", 150 something pounds coming out of Davidson College. I think that Steph has made an incredible career for his size, and you don't usually see little man dominate the game the way he does. I mean, he dominates the game in the regular season, and they just can't do anything for him. I think it's special, and I think he does need respect. The problem is he hasn't had the same postseason success as far as his individual talent. Now his team has been great, but his individual talent in the postseason, he's had moments, but not to the level of his contemporaries like Kawhi, like Kevin, like LeBron, like Kobe. I know he came on late in Kobe's career, but Kobe had a great finals run. But I agree with Stephen A. Smith and with Banks. If he's able to find a way to not only win the championship, but be the reason why the Warriors won a championship and be the Finals MVP, he's definitely in discussion as the top of his generation and probably one of the greatest players ever. Because when you talk to people, normal basketball lover people, yeah, Steph is great, but he's not one of the greatest players of all time. And I'm like, he can be, and he has that potential. He already is, in my opinion. Even with his struggles in the playoffs, I still think he's one of the best players ever. But this year, if he's able to win, this will solidify his spot. But right now, he's not above Kevin Durant. He's not above LeBron. They have more they have more on their career than Steph does, and that's not a knock on Steph. I'm not saying, oh, Steph is terrible because LeBron. No, I'm just saying that he hasn't caught up to Kevin or LeBron yet. But if he wins this year, I think he will catch up to them as far as the greatest in his generation. So yeah, I agree.
Wow. We actually do have an agreement. Okay. Well, damn. I was expected to.
Well, sort of.
Sort of. I was expecting 20 minutes of this action. But oh well, we can go ahead and move on. So
no, it's not a. To me, it's not even. It's not. I wasn't saying it to debate anybody, anything like that. What I tried to do is what I think Stephen A. is trying to do as well. Stephen A. is trying to get people to recognize Steph Curry because we're not talking about him enough.
Yeah.
And I still say he's even. And I didn't think about it until I actually sat down and I listened to Stephen A. Smith. There's only one athlete in the NBA that has Steph Curry, in my opinion, beat right now, and that's LeBron James. That's it. I think Steph Curry's career-wise is better than Kevin Durant. So I would disagree with Greg with the Kevin Durant thing. I agree. I think so. And that's coming. And listen, Kevin Durant is my guy. He's my guy. I love Kevin Durant. But when I think about it, too. Steph Curry didn't need Kevin Durant. That's a straight up. He didn't need Kevin Durant. Steph Curry was beating Kevin Durant. Steph Curry was beating him. So yeah, you can bring up the other career marks and yada yada yada. But where it mattered most, Steph Curry beat him. And it's not like Steph Curry's issues weren't in the postseason. He balled out in the postseason. He just had issues in the finals. The postseason wasn't an issue. He was the reason why Golden State even advanced. He played lights out during the postseason, but when he got to the finals, for some reason it didn't work out for him. It just didn't happen. I don't know what happened.
Lights
but the postseason,
nah for the bay, nah for the bay, nah. We don't care what you said, nah for the bay, nah for the bay, nah for the bay, nah. We ain't hearing what you said, nah for the bay. Fire!